What's up, everybody? It's Phil from Zaid Comics. I am the writer and co-creator of Magic Cop, which is in demand now on Indiegogo, so check that out. And I'm just one half of the two best-looking brothers in all of comics. And today, we're back with another comic review in my long line of reviewing the 90s series from Darkhorse, The Mask. And we are here at the final issue of the Mask miniseries, the four-issue series that came out in 1991 by John Arcudi and Doug Mahnke. So let's get right down into it. If you guys haven't seen my previous videos, definitely check them out to catch you up, because this is the final issue in that series, like I said. And we have this beautiful cover by Doug, and referencing that battle axe that we seen in the first introduction of the character back in Mayhem. He uses that to slaughter a bunch of police officers, rip open some cars, and we're gonna see that again. We get a little Darkhorse symbol on his jacket, Easter egg there, pretty cool. And where we left off last time, Kathy confronted Kellaway, telling him she wanted her mask back, and they have a little heart-to-heart here. Kathy trying to persuade him not to use the mask anymore. It changes you, turns you into a monster, and he's basically telling her that all these people that have killed by Big Head recently have been bad people. The world is a better place without these people. And she's like, but the mask is going to make you crazy. So he agrees that he needs some restrictions on it. So he says, let's get into a partnership with this. I'm going to lock this in my drawer, and I'm going to give you the key. So whenever I need to use the mask to, knock off a mafia guy or a criminal, then I'm going to call you, and basically you give me the key, and you're got all the... We cut scenes to a police officer going to get some lunch, and is greeted by Walter throwing a human being through this window onto this cop. A great little splash panel here. Lots of action, all this glass breaking. Some of my favorite letters are in this book. The letterer did a great job in this book, as I always say. Walter, of course, the reoccurring villain here in The Mask, that literally has a knife stuck into him, and he does not stop maiming people. It's a perfect representation of the violence of this series and the violence that Doug is capable of. Again, using those letters and this motion with all the blood. It's beautiful. And they're kind of taken aback, these cops, when he tells Walter to freeze, and he does so. You can hear the terror in their voice, and the cops actually thank him for freezing. Another little emotional moment here, these guys apologizing to each other, Kellaway and his partner Lionel, building their partnership back up here in the final issue. And Walter, another scene appearing in front of a judge. The assistant district attorney, as we've seen before, is kind of working with the mafia, is getting paid off by them so they could get some leniency with their made men, their crime bosses. And that's exactly what's happening here. So the district attorney is basically trying to get Walter a lighter sentence. He's taking a plea deal and pleading guilty to his homicides. And the judge is like, I don't see why we can't give him 1.5 to 3 years. Kellaway gets wind of this by seeing that district attorney business card, and immediately calls Kathy, but she wasn't home. So he left a message and says, I need to use the mask. There's this dirty mafia guy, he's paying off this lawyer. I need to use the mask so I can rough some people up. And she's like, oh, Kellaway, that was a while ago. He's probably cooled off by now. I'll give him a call back and see where his head's at. And we see down here in this last panel, Kellaway has taken an axe to his drawer and gotten the mask himself. So the district attorney is met by the mask, ripped out of his car, and basically he wants some evidence against him, so he takes him into his office, throws him around, roughs up the place. But before that, a police officer sees the big head killer, doing so. So in minutes, the police have the place surrounded, and the Mask sees this. He's still tearing through the office here, and you get a pretty cool fourth wall break. That's why I love about this Mask series. John does not use this too much. And I think in recent years, especially in Deadpool and even in Harley Quinn, now she's breaking the fourth wall. It's become a gimmick now instead of a good little sprinkle that people used to do back in the 90s. Lobo did it really well when Alan Grant and Keith Giffen was writing Lobo, and John Arcudi does it perfectly in The Mask. It's not in every issue, but it is definitely there. It's a little quality that he has because he's such a powerful character. He knows kind of that there's an audience there watching him. So we get that little nod and some great cartoonist action here where he's jackhammering this safe open that he's found in the wall. And we have at the same time the mafia is getting tipped off that the district attorney is being held up as a hostage, and one of the boys wants to save him. He's saying that this district attorney has helped us out a bunch of times. And, the big guy saying, no, we'll find another one. There's money could buy anyone, and we'll find one that's less expensive. So the cops raid in, finding the district attorney, finding a bag of dope, and this little black book with all of his mob connections in there. And who is responsible? Oh, it is the big head killer. And he's basically wants the applause. He wants attention for doing something good. Well, because this guy was caught because of him. And I think at the same time, if you think about this character, you could have it that Calloway wants the recognition for doing a good job because he said earlier in this story that he wants to clean up the city, and this is the reason he's using the Mask to his advantage. But at the other time, it's his ego. The Mask is blowing his ego out of proportion and making sure he gets the credit for the things he's doing, because that's what the Mask does. And he even says, Lieutenant Calloway, he's a good cop, he's a good guy. You should stop being so hard on him. Kind of tipping himself off at that point. But the police chief and all the rest of the cops don't want to put up with Big Head anymore, and they have bazookas and a whole arsenal that they just blow away the Mask with, and of course it does nothing. It just angers him. He says guns are too stressed in today's culture, and he has something else for them. That's that big battle axe from the original Stanley Ipkiss Days of the Mask, and we get some even more brutal action with Calloway swinging this thing. Now look at that splash panel. So much motion in here. The lettering again used perfectly as a motion line for the action of the axe cutting the top of the cop car off, and he's about to kill the chief when Lionel comes up behind him and starts wailing on him. And if the Mask is mad, you don't want to get in between him and someone he's after, because he just starts beating his partner. This is Calloway's partner. He is beating to a pulp and is going to kill him. Sticks a stick of dynamite into his mouth, and that's when he catches himself. You see the Mask speech bubble here quickly changes to a regular bubble, indicating that Calloway is talking. He's in control of those words. But you get the struggle of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde aspect of this character, where the actual Mask is speaking for him and is in control of his actions. We saw this start to happen to Stanley Ipkiss in the Mayhem series, but never to this point where they're actually split between human and Mask. So Calloway stops himself. Even though the wick is lit, he runs away and gets blown to bits. The cops, the onlookers there, seeing the aftermath of what just happened. Wrapping up this issue and this little mini-series, Kathy comes to the door of Kellaway's house, banging on it, saying, "I know you're in there. I know you took the mask. You better give it back." And we see a cement bag. We see Kellaway in his basement, and we see that he has just buried the mask under the floor of his basement. And we're left with "The Mask Will Return." I think that was a fun ending. You have Kellaway, as you can see, he is shocked. He is terrified of what he has become and what the mask has made him do to, his best friend, his partner in the workforce, as a police officer, his brother in arms. And he needed to do something about it because he obviously can't control himself. He can't help himself from putting that mask on and becoming that person that is ridding the streets of crime. But he also can't help the mask from seeping into him and making him do things that he would never want to do. Comment below, let me know what you're thinking. Hit that like button if you did enjoy this video. Subscribe if you haven't. We do a lot of comic reviews and a bunch of other things on this channel, including live streams with comic creators. So hit that bell for notifications so you know when to come back and when we are going live. Thank you guys. We will see you next time. Hey guys, have you heard of Magic Cop? This is the comic book that we're making at Zade Comics. It is live right now on Indiegogo. It is that Miami Vice feel mixed with monsters and magic. 88 pages, fully colored graphic novel. And be sure to pick up that ash can that comes with it. It's going to have a bunch of concept art and a 12-page pilot issue. So check it out. We're fully funded. That means if you back it, you're definitely going to get this book. And we're heading on for the stretch goals. So help us out to get there. Thanks, everybody. Did you guys know that Brandon Diaz, the artist of Magic Cop, has his very own Patreon page? You guys can head on over there and pledge for either $5 or $8 a month, and you get these beautiful digitally painted pictures by Brandon. He does one a week for all of his members. So head on over there, check it out.